We've got a couple of greats all the time. Don Fischer, the voice of the Hoosiers. Charlie Miller joins us, former IU player. Don, obviously Indiana coming off of a tough loss against Illinois. Not a shocker. I mean, it's not a game that the experts expected them to win, but one that we knew that they had the ability to win because we've seen them play at that level. It was how were they going to handle Kofi Coburn and this and that and the guards and all. We found out. You just can't. Indiana didn't have an answer for Kofi Coburn. Not in the second half.
Not in the second half. And really, as much as it was Kofi, it was Jacob Grandison and Trent Frazier, too, because those 4 threes that those two guys hit were critical points in that ball game and basically took the game out of Indiana's hands. I thought Indiana really played well in the first half, despite the fact that Trayce Jackson-Davis gets in foul trouble again quite early, basically plays 4 minutes of the first half. So the foul struggles that he's been dealing with continued against the top guys that he's faced this year, the top bigs that he's faced. But without question, the disappointment was Indiana's performance in the second half and the energy level, the intensity level, all those things that we have been talking about and this team has had this problem all year long. It's not just this game. The fact of the matter is you could go back to the first game of the season against Eastern Michigan. Indiana's like 20-some point lead at halftime and lets it be a 6-point game at the end. They end up winning it, but by 6. And it started there, and it's kind of, I don't want to say it's mushroomed, but it's continued. It's been an ongoing issue for this team to play 40 minutes of basketball time and time again. You can probably on one hand name the games that they've had in which they played 40 minutes. The Ohio State and the Purdue games come to mind in that regard, in my opinion. Those were 2 really good ball games by Indiana from an energy and an effort standpoint. The rest of the time you could go back and you'd have to hunt to find the games that they played 40 minutes of good basketball. And you could see the frustration in Mike Woodson at the end of this ball game because the last 4 minutes, essentially, he took the starters out and never put them back in. And it was still a ball game at that point. You could have said that Indiana still had a slight chance to win this contest, but he was just frustrated, and I don't blame him.
He had a great comment, Charlie and Don, that Illinois had a great 40-minute game plan, and we had a great 20-minute game plan. And that really just summed up exactly what he said. And it was a little surprising, more surprising because it was at home. The energy with the home crowd was electric. Not as with the Michigan game, it was like everyone was sucked. The energy was sucked out of them from that win over Purdue. That it took so much emotion out of it. But this game, the students were into it. The crowd was into it. So I'm a little surprised there. But it just was not the same energy. And Trayce Jackson-Davis was sitting on the bench for most of the first half. So you would have thought he'd have had all the energy he needed to deal with that.
And when he came back in the second half, he didn't play a lot better. It's that simple. He has really kind of struggled here against the best bigs that he's faced this year. Obviously, he had the same problem in the Purdue ball game against Zach Edey and Travion Williams. We're going to have to see Trayce make some strides here in regard to how he goes up against some of these bigs that he's having to face, because he's going to face another couple of them coming up this week. You've got the Nance kid and Young and Barron, all bigs that Northwestern will pose against Indiana tomorrow night. And then you've got Michigan State with Marcus Bingham, a 7-foot guy that goes out the floor and knocks down threes coming up on Saturday, along with Joey Hauser, who's 6'10", and they got people coming off the bench that are all 6'9", 6'10" guys. This is going to be a challenge for this Indiana basketball team. And there's no let up. Let's face it. There's just absolutely no let up in this league. And the good news is that Indiana has bounced back from most of their losses this year and bounced back in a good way. And they're going to have to do that against Northwestern, because I'm telling you, Northwestern is going to be no easy out. Indiana split with them last year, winning at Northwestern and losing at home to them. and they've got 4 starters back from that ball club, and they have gotten better and better as the year has progressed, and they have played everybody in the Big Ten tough, including a win over Michigan State at Michigan State back on January 2nd.
Yeah, Charlie, that's that in itself. Michigan State, one of the top teams in the Big Ten, trying to win the title. Northwestern goes there and wins. You go to anytime you go to East Lansing and get a win there, that is special. And for a team like Northwestern, plus that, Don and Charlie, we've seen a lot of their other games. They have been so close in a lot of other games. They're grinding. That means they haven't quit. They're going to be playing at home. Anytime Indiana goes on the road, Charlie, you know the kind of bullseye that's on the back of that jersey.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big one, right? It's a big one. And, not just to kind of give a point about that game real quick, fellas. I think we are starting to identify a pattern for me. I mean, we against a tale of two teams. I said this, I think, about a month ago. I mean, we played well the first half, then it's like a letdown. I don't know what it is where you give up crucial opportunities and crucial moments. And I'm more than certain Coach Woodson has addressing it. I think he said it in a sly way in his presser, right? 40-minute game, 20-minute game. We got to figure out a way to play better. I think the first 5 minutes of the second half, we got to figure out something to set the tone. Again, you going back to what you asked me, Jim. Yes, you always have a target on your back. It's just something about the tradition that we built over the years, whether I was there in the 70s or not, doesn't matter. I mean, you're Indiana. You're coming in, right? So people want to play their best game, so you got to be ready for their best.
Here's another thing too, Jim. Here's another thing too, Jim, that'll be interesting to see at Northwestern tomorrow night. Generally speaking, and Charlie, you know this because you played at Northwestern several times, Indiana fans show up in mass at Northwestern. If those tickets are available, Indiana will have a sizable delegation of Hoosier fans in the stands at Welsh Ryan Arena on Tuesday night.
Yeah, they have a big Chicago fan base.
Huge alumni base in Chicago, no question about it. And I'm guaranteeing you there will be, and because those tickets, I don't know, but I looked at a couple of the attendance level for the Rutgers game. I think they had 3,000 something. That was all the attendance was for Northwestern in that game. If that is the same scenario for the Indiana game, Indiana will have 6,000 people there. I'm just telling you.
And I've never been to Welsh Ryan. But it certainly looks. I'll be there this time. But it's a different looking gym. It's not college. It's kind of still that cross between that next level. Don, you've been there many times.
Yeah.
It's a different type of playing environment there.
Well, and it's interesting too because when Knight was the coach, the Northwestern student body had a lot of fun with Bob Knight. Trust me, Hoosier Daddy and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah.
But when you think about the Wildcats and Northwestern's Welsh Ryan Arena, it's very much like what you see in Indiana in high school basketball. Right. At a lot of different places around the state. You'll see 7,000 to 9,000 seat stadiums around here. Like it's normal. And at Northwestern, you're pretty much seeing that kind of a stadium or that kind of arena to play basketball in. So it's always interesting to say the least. But I'm just concerned about this basketball team right now. They seem to take a step forward and then 2 steps back, and a step forward and 2 steps back. And I think they've got to get out of that routine, and they've got to find a way to put together more than a 2-game win streak here in Big Ten play because they haven't had any more than that.
Yeah, the one thing that I have absolutely resisted this year, as in any time before, is especially when I hear people say, well, why isn't this guy playing? Why isn't this guy playing? Well, I'm pretty assured now with the staff that's all, I'm like, if they're not playing, there's a freaking reason they're not playing. So I don't question that. Whether it's Anthony Leo, Christian Lander, or Jordan, whoever it is, I don't care who it is, Michael Durr. I don't question. There may be a question, why is it? But I don't question the reasoning is my point. I know that if they were needed or available, Mike Woodson would have them on the floor. Mike Woodson wants to win every game that he is signed up for, I promise you. So trust me, they're in practice. They know what's going on. They know what's happening. Now, I guess the bigger question would be, why aren't some of these guys getting more involved? Why aren't they doing more to get involved, to get themselves on the floor? That's probably the question.
Well, I got something on that. And think about it, fellas. We're in the second half of your Big Ten season. And again, identification culture is really big. You know now who your players are. You got a good feel for them. Nothing against been on both sides, right? Been on the white team, Don, where the practice squad jerseys, been on the red team, the starters, the players, right? And I think right now what you're starting to see, and people still will probably question is, I mean, he has his rotation. I mean, coach has his rotation. He knows who he can go to battle with, so to speak. He knows who's going to probably give him consistent minutes. He knows who's going to be on a short leash. And now a lot of these games where you don't really feel good about your second half because you can understand a system is designed to create predictable results. You know we're not really good at second half, so you're not going to play a lot of players. So probably put you in more deficit. So it might be a precautionary thing. Who knows, right? But at the same time, I think there's a reason, like you said before, that a lot of guys aren't playing because I think they know who they are as a player and they got to get better.
I think Mike makes his decisions based on attitude, how the guy responds when he puts him out there, or how he responds in practice,
right?
And he dictates a lot of where he's going to give guys playing time based on how hard they play at the defensive end of the floor.
Right.
Attitude and how hard you play are critical factors to Mike Woodson. And if they're not getting that from those players, then they're not going to be out there. And Mike Durr was out. He missed 3 straight ball games. He didn't play a minute. And all of a sudden they stick him in against Illinois on Saturday, and he does a pretty good job, at least in the first half. And without question, Mike's going to get guys out there. They're going to do what he wants them to do, number one. And then number two, what kind of energy they play with. And if they follow what they're supposed to do from a coaching perspective, the way he wants them to play. And I've never really questioned coaches in regard to who they play, because they're the only ones that know. They're in practice every day. They know exactly what the kid's attitude is. Are they having a problem away from the basketball court? Are they having problems in school? They know what the issues are. You just can't question. I don't think you should question coaches and their decisions on players and playing time, because 99% of the time you don't know the whole story.
Boy, that was the key right there. I was going to say 99% of the time, I'm right there with you, 1,000%. I'm looking at some stats from Northwestern last year, and something that's kind of ironic. Their second leading scorer, it looks like, one of their best 3-point shooters was Miller Kopp, who they don't have this year. But he didn't put up a bunch of shots, even at Northwestern. He averaged just over 1 3-point shot a game. Or making one for every 4. So he's not doing a lot less different, but he's got a hell of a lot more talent around him right now. So I think that he's still trying to find a way to just either be a facilitator and being a part of this offense, but having someone like him or Parker kind of increase their production definitely would be something that this Indiana team could need or use going forward as we get closer to the tournament run.
Hey, but check it. He's going back to Northwestern. Think about that, right? And I mean, we saw, and I can't compare it, but we saw what Rob Finney did playing against Purdue, ran his backyard team. These type of games you get jacked up for. I don't know why. I can't really explain why. I feel he's going to be jacked up for this game. I think he's going to be all dialed in, locked in. And I'm hoping that that's enough incentive for him. Because I think the world of him. I think he has a tremendous upside, but I think he's trying to find his way and figure his way out with the team, and it's kind of late. I mean, we're talking about now. I mean, your season's pretty much going to be over, within several weeks, man. So maybe more little acclimation may be needed for comfort or also direction from coaches, but he has the tools. You just hope a game like this can kind of be a breakout game.
His familiarity, Don, with Welsh Ryan should certainly prove beneficial to him.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question. He'll go back there jacked up because, number one, These guys are guys he played with for the last
Exactly.
3 years, you know.
Exactly.
So these are brothers, so to speak, and he has a great relationship with these guys. His reasons for leaving Northwestern are his own, whether it was coach involved or just the fact that he felt like he needed a different scene for his senior year, whatever the case may be. And all you can say at this point is, and he's a kid from Texas, so you know it's not like he's married to Evanston, Illinois, or anything like that. But he played 3 years there, and he knows all these guys. That's why he's going to be jacked up, and he's played in that building a ton. So he may just love playing in that building, and this could be a breakout ball game for him, much like it was at Syracuse.
Absolutely. Before I don't want to forget this, Don, Chuck Crabb announced his retirement. You have been doing, only person probably that has done it longer than what they're doing in Indiana is you, but he's still, he's an icon, man. He's one of those faces. Don Fischer is probably the first face especially when you come to broadcasting, we're going to think of. Chuck Crabb is going to be there alongside as the PA guy for so long, that nondescript way of how he did that. And just right off in the sunset like he did, you got to congratulate him. But, man, he's going to be missed. He was a favorite on how he did that.
Well, you know, the other thing, and this is what people don't know, or a lot of people don't know about Chuck, he was a historian. This guy knows more about Assembly Hall, about what happened in Assembly Hall, about Indiana athletics over the years than just about anybody. He's been a part of that program for 40. Well, he was 45 as the PA guy. I think in total he was close to 50, not 50 at this point, but as he hung it up here, but he was close to 50 years of being around Indiana University athletics, and graduating from IU, as you know, I think in 1973 was his graduation year. So that was the year that I came. So he's been around as long as I have, without question. Great guy. Really, really glad for him. The decision he made. I think John Harmon's passing had a lot to do with it too, because I know that a lot of things were said about John and his family and not getting a chance to him enjoy retirement himself. And I think that passing affected Chuck to some degree and brought about what he decided was the end of the line for him.
Yeah, and if you're not involved in game day operate, whether it's in the media or part of IU, you probably don't know who John Harmon is. But if you were, you definitely did. But even if you weren't, what he did, you knew of, because he was behind all the lighting and all the things, the sound, everything. And he was just one of those guys that made everything run. And when it didn't, he was the first guy to get to it. And I remember I'd see him. There was not a game I didn't see him. Even with the mask on, you're like, hey, you can always tell who they are. And
great guy.
Yep, shame to see that, but congratulations to Chuck as well, as he's gone, man. But we've got Don left, and we've got the big games coming up to end this season, brother. The next one up, Northwestern tomorrow night. No coaches show tonight, correct?
No, we traveled tonight. We'll be on our way to Chicago, so we will not be having a talk show tonight. We'll be back on that next Monday,
the day after the Super Bowl. So I look forward to getting back. You can still head out to Southern Stone Restaurant, but you might as well go there just to keep the habit up, right? For the great food. But Don, I appreciate you, man. Thank you, sir. We look forward to seeing you up at Welsh Ryan.
Guys, great being with you. Thank you.